We are in the Gopher State tonight for a Western Conference clash to kick off match week 29 in MLS NEXT Pro. It's Minnesota United FC2 and Colorado Rapids 2 for their third and final meeting of the year from Minnesota. We say hello and welcome here from the Blaine Sports Center Stadium. Sam Goldfarb here, bringing you all of the action tonight in the penultimate fixture for both of these two sides. It's a season series dominated by Minnesota. They've won the previous two meetings, but Eric Boucher's bunch looking to end the year on a high and snap a unbeaten run that has come to fruition of late for the Loons. Well, let's take a look at the state of the Western Conference, and well, for both these teams, it's a learning experience from here on out. Minnesota and Colorado, the only two teams in the West to be eliminated from playoff contention already, but don't let that fool you. Minnesota right now unbeaten in its last three, and they have been banging in the goals of late. They're a fun team to watch. They're looking to carry that over against a struggling Rapids 2 side that is just hoping for some consolation to cap the campaign. You look at the top six, they've all clinched. The real question marks come around the playoff line, where between 7 and 12, they are separated by just 5 points. So a lot still up for grabs for this match, though. It's more an opportunity for academy kids and a chance to end the season on a positive note. Well, speaking of the side, let's take a look at the bunch for Minnesota United FC2. A few changes across the board, 5 to be precise, which gets interesting because it's a blend of some first-teamers as well as some other pieces as well. You see Ugo Bacharach, the Indiana graduate, the 9th overall pick in the draft. He sits at center back after a goal and an assist last weekend in the victory over Sporting Kansas City 2. And then as you head up front, keep your eye on Jordan Adebayo-Smith, the fringe first-teamer who's made 11 MLS apps this year. Enrique Nieves has also come into the fold of late, number 95 on your screen on the far right, who's got a goal and an assist to his name and has caused some excitement for Minnesota these last couple months. On the other side of things, for Eric Boucher's side, not as many changes from last week's 2-1 defeat. Keep your eye on the man in goal, Zachary Campagnolo, He's between the sticks tonight for Rapids 2, the 17-year-old. And then as you head further up the pitch, Colton Swan scoring the lone goal last week against Dynamo Dos. He's just hoping to reinvigorate a Rapids 2 bunch that has managed just 2 goals in its last 3 matches. But what's exciting about this team, a pair of top 10 picks in the lineup in the form of Nate Jones and Wayne Frederick. Well, we are just about set for kickoff here from the Blaine Sports Center Stadium on the outskirts of the capital of Minnesota, the Minneapolis-St. Paul region, of course, where all of the comings and goings occur in the Gopher State. Well, for both these teams, it is a chance to get on track before the season comes to a close. It is Rapids 2 in the white with maroon numbers and maroon shorts. On the other side of things, Minnesota in the black with white numbers. And underway, the penultimate fixture of the 2024 season for both sides, as this nearly comes loose for Rogelio Garcia, and it's a slightly nervy start for Minnesota. Talking to Jeremy Hall, the Minnesota United 2 headman this week. He mentioned in some ways this resurgent form is slightly frustrating, not in the fact that they've been good these last few games. He's very pleased with that, but was hoping that perhaps the run could have commenced earlier. Unfortunately, though, injuries and some in-season as well as off-season turnover dooming Minnesota well below the playoff line for the bulk of the season, and they can never really properly string results together. Now with 2 wins in the last 3, the question is, can they end the year with plenty of positivity? Jeremy Hall says there's a lot of optimism when it comes to next season with the blend of youth and experience they will most likely bring back. Bacharach. Martinez loses out. Bacharach wins it back. He's looking for Adebayo Smith, and an overzealous challenge in the end, which sent the captain, Steve Flores, tumbling to the turf. If you're just joining us, we welcome you into Blaine, Minnesota. Sam Goldfarb bringing you all of the action. Two bottom teams in the West looking for cause for optimism as they head into next year. Martinez. Garcia. And this is Nate Jones, one of the top 10 picks in this past year's MLS Super Draft, 5th overall. What's so interesting about Colorado is, despite all of the players they lost from last season's regular season championship side, there is plenty of young talent, and a good chunk of the side tonight, teenagers that are products of the Rapids Academy, but they're blended with some slightly more experienced players who have played in the college ranks. With Wayne Frederick going to Duke, of course, Nate Jones excelling at Washington. He's a first-team All-Pac-12 selection a year ago. Don't forget as well, Kamani Stewart-Baines also in the lineup tonight, and he was 4th overall. So 3 top 10 picks in the lineup tonight for Rapids too. 4 on the pitch when you combine both these teams. And if you're looking from a scouting perspective and trying to figure out the future of your franchise, these players have a number of lads tipped to do that. It's a progressive ball forward here to Matus Kmet, Slovakian, who is on the provisional national team side for Euro 2024. Martinez. It's clever interplay, and Minnesota breaking forward. It's worked wide. This is Nieves. Teenager signed from Argentina in mid-July of this year. O'Driscoll, already with 1 goal to his name against Rapids 2 this year. Nieves runs out of room. You'll notice on your screen, Anderson Ferris wearing the number 59 tonight. It's different from his occasional number in the 30s. In addition, Minnesota debuting Carlos Casillas Lopez, who's 18 years of age, out of Minnesota's academy. A late addition to the side, making his first appearance of the year for Minnesota United FC2. So, plenty of alterations and bits and bops from Jeremy Hall entering these final couple matches. Question becomes if the lads can form a nucleus that lasts over to next year as well. This is Rogelio Garcia. It's an errant ball that's won back by Nyman. Adebayo Smith taking a tumble. And an early free kick in a very appetizing position for the Loons. Giving away soft free kicks like this likely won't please Eric Boucher this early. It appears Rory O'Driscoll, the captain, will have a decent crack at things from a distance within his range. O'Driscoll tries for goal, took a nick off the wall, and should go out for a Minnesota corner. That it does. Well, early pressure from a Minnesota side that has really ratcheted it into high gear going forward. 11 goals in its last 4 matches. And set pieces have been the primary catalyst of this run. It is the captain O'Driscoll to take. Without swing. Floating towards Fisher. Stumbling all the way through for Adebayo Smith. Nyman. One back by Nieves, only briefly though. Adebayo Smith giving chase. Nonchalantly taken away by Flores. Well, talking to Eric Boucher this week, he's mentioned that he feels his side needs to be a little cleaner in possession, especially around the final third. It is a Rapids 2 side that has, frankly, battled the opposite of fates to Minnesota these last few weeks. It's 6 winless entering tonight, and a team that has scored just twice in its last 3. There have been signs of promise. Breaking teams down and finding that final ball have proven problematic pretty much throughout the year for Rapids 2. Boucher mentioning that they never really quite hit their heights in that regard. And when you factor in as well, their top scorer Marlon Vargas is on loan with New Mexico United these last couple weeks. There has been a need for a new talisman to step up. 10 goals flying out the window like that. Alvarado. Colorado still looking to find an avenue out of this Minnesota press, which has produced a number of clear-cut opportunities for the Loons these last few weeks. His a system under Jeremy Hall that is very aggressive from Minnesota. And while that can sometimes burn them, especially at the back, has produced a flurry of final third chances these last few weeks. Bacharach. Or over 10 minutes gone from the National Sports Center in Blaine. A 5,500 seat venue, which was formerly the home of the first team back in its NASL days in the early and mid 2010s. Decent turnout. You hear the drums in the background. Just about 20-25 minutes outside the city centers of the Twin Cities in Minneapolis and St. Paul. This is Ferris. And played forward to Martinez, who has options as well. Adebayo Smith. Helio Garcia and Flores unable to clear. Martinez, 17 years of age, and has burst onto the scene these last few weeks. And this is Anderson Ferris, who outwits Garcia, and it makes for a nervy clearance. Perhaps Campagnolo would have felt he could have claimed himself. Was one that was meant for safety. Garcia is slow to get to his feet. Get another look at this. It's just a flashing cross from Anderson Ferris. Not a bad one. It's a little tight on Campagnolo, but ultimately it did draw the intervention from Chacon. Sets up Minnesota for another corner. In swing from O'Driscoll. It is briefly loose. Back by Bacharach. We'll run it back from the opposite flank. Early on, and the Loons continue to twist the screws. There's been really no avenue out of this press from Colorado so far. Side that has yet to find its foothold in this final road fixture. O'Driscoll, this time low. Bacharach got his head to it, and this time finally out for a goal kick. So far, the storm weather. There is your look at the man between the sticks for Rapids 2. It's a pair of sides which has had the goalkeeping position in flux throughout the year. Zach Campagnolo, the Fort Myers, Florida native, who's a product of the Rapids Academy, making just his 8th start of the year. Although these last couple months, getting the nod far more frequently from Eric Boucher. Last week, riding the subs bench, he's been splitting time with Adam Beaudry, who is the regular mainstay for the Rapids team that won the regular season championship a year ago. But with the latter trying to break into the first team, it's opened a power vacuum between the sticks. And that has, as we alluded to, perhaps never fully been addressed yet. Although there is a lot of optimism surrounding Campagnolo, and who was selected to the U17 World Cup squad with the U.S. last year. It's a heavy touch from Martinez. Amadou's pass read to perfection. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Allina Health, an altogether better kind of healthcare. Learn more at allinahealth.com. We are just over a quarter of an hour gone in the final home fixture for Minnesota United FC2. Locking horns with Western Conference bottom feeder Colorado Rapids 2. A side that has undergone plenty of turnover from its regular season championship and Western Conference final campaign of a season ago. So far, dominated by Minnesota in terms of possession and chance creation. But perhaps finally, Colorado beginning to navigate into a more progressive position themselves. Bio Smith just receiving a talking to from our lead official tonight, John Matteau. His assistants, Jackson Krauser and Jared Kuhl. Brian Wood is the fourth official tonight. Daniel Chacon, the Costa Rican international, getting us back underway. And still recovering from an ACL tear. It's his fourth rehab match, if you will, as he looks to work his way back into first-team shape. The minutes have been gradually increasing each week. Played an entire half for the first time since sustaining the injury last week in what wound up being a 2-1 defeat at Dynamo Dos. Game in which Eric Boucher said he felt his side perhaps could have pushed on and snagged an equalizer, but fell behind 2-0 late. And despite Colton Swan's lifeline in the 89th minute, just couldn't quite carve out enough time or space for a potential equalizer. It was a positive sign, though, for a Rapid side that has been dealt far more losses than anyone around the organization would be used to from the second team, especially considering last year's success. It's been a year of transition and still have seen some young stars emerge that could break into the first team. There's one they hope will become a young star in Stuart Baines. Rogelio Garcia shoved to the deck. Neiman searching for the progressive run of Komet. And charged away. This is Stuart Baines in plenty of space. Quick break from Rapids. Cross towards the back stick. Rogelio Garcia just unable to outwit Ferris. Perhaps Minnesota negotiating out of that trouble for now. Fisher. It's broken up by Alvarado. Has some numbers surging ahead as well. Stuart Baines growing into this as we speak. Toward the byline and across into the welcome gloves of the youngster Kai Zaroon, a 16-year-old who's a product of the Minnesota United Academy. Someone who's seen his starts increase of late. Another young player who's excited Jeremy Hall. Says he's grown leaps and bounds since the time he made his first start. Though he didn't feature last week against Sporting Kansas City, in his previous clash against St. Louis, said he felt like he looked mature beyond his years for his age on the pitch. It's all an opportunity for young lads to develop in this league. Zaroon is someone they hope can become the regular between the sticks, with Alex Smear working his way really ever closer to the first team ranks the last few months or so. Hoofed long. Hunting the run of Martinez. You see on your screen Eric Boucher directing the troops tonight. And in his third season with Rapids 2, someone who oversaw tremendous success last year. Garcia latching onto this. And outwits O'Driscoll. Bacharach there to provide the necessary reinforcements. Swan, fresh off his goal last week. We are around the midway point of this first half. Still awaiting our first glaring chance for either side. Where both teams are looking to provide cause for optimism as they look ahead towards the offseason and next year. Garcia is still down on the deck after that challenge, being tended to by our lead official, John Motto. Well, Colorado is starting to work their way forward. You see Garcia, he just outwits O'Driscoll, and it's the late challenge right around the knees, which sends him prone on the deck. Does set up Rapids to an inviting position for their first legitimate set piece. And the 17-year-old Max Simpson, another academy player standing over this. Can Colorado create some goal threat? It would be a welcome sight given recent performances for Eric Boucher's side entering tonight. It hooks towards the back post. It was headed along by Amadou. Not quite able to keep it down. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Allianz Life Insurance Company of North America, proud worldwide insurance partner of the International Olympic and Paralympic Committees. We are now beyond the midway point of this first half, and still no score between Minnesota and Colorado. Sam Goldfarb here bringing you all of the action from the National Sports Center Stadium in Blaine, Minnesota, part of a larger multi-sport complex in the suburbs of the Twin Cities. It's a 5,500 seat venue, one that was proposed as a potential host of the 1994 World Cup in the United States. There was talk about temporarily expanding the seating of this venue to 45,000 to accommodate the influx of fans back in the day. Ultimately, they settled on other locations, but it is a well-known complex for football in Minnesota and the Twin Cities area. Not quite Allianz Field in terms of capacity, but it is still a venue that draws support from the local fans. Campagnola will get us back underway. Nieves. So far, Adebayo Smith largely isolated tonight. It's been a front line for Minnesota that, despite a wealth of possession, has struggled to knife through the Rapids back four just yet. Press has created some havoc, though. Question for Minnesota is how it builds on last week's 4-2 victory over Sporting Kansas City. A team that fell behind 2-0, snatched two stoppage time goals to level the scoreline before intermission. Jeremy Hall was thrilled with the response. And then after an early second half red card, the floodgates began to open for the Loons. Scored two in the final 15 to put the match to bed. And it's part of this goal-scoring renaissance for Minnesota these last few weeks. We've mentioned the eye-popping numbers. A team that, for the bulk of the year, really struggled to find the back of the net, and is just 20th in MLS Next Pro in goals so far this year, with multiple goals in the last 4. And a number of positive results which kept them afloat for a number of weeks in the postseason chase. They have found themselves in a bout of much better form. Nyman was looking for the run of Martinez, but the two were not on the same wavelength. It is a very intense style Jeremy Hall employs, one that is built on directness when necessary and also heavy pressing, which you've already seen a good chunk of tonight. Here's Stuart Baines with some creativity. Flores tucking inside. It is snatched away by Casillas Lopez, the debutant. And Nieves strolling ahead. We've mentioned the experience of both coaches, a little rookie in the vet situation. Boucher has been the head man for Rapids 2 since their initial season in Next Pro back in 2022. And of course, we've already mentioned at length the Western Conference final run, which ended in spot kicks against eventual champion Austin 2 last year. Someone who's been with the club for quite some time, since April of 2017 to be precise, and is familiar with the youth development pathways in Colorado. Here's Rogelio Garcia, one of the budding stars out of that youth academy. It's cleared only as far as Jones. Flores. Swan. Clever hold-up play. Looking for Simpson. He was read well in the end by Britton Fisher. On the other side of things, a first-year head coach for Minnesota. And there's been a little bit of chaos when it came to the coaching situation early in the year. Didn't officially name Jeremy Hall as the head man until mid-April, which came about around Game 4 of the season. Was suspended for the Timbers match in late April as well. Someone with plenty of MLS experience, played 7 years in this league, and knows a thing or two about trying to break into the professional ranks. Stuart Baines slithering to the byline and still on it. Tried from a tight angle and found nothing but the side netting. But warning signs from the 19-year-old, who has been Colorado's most dangerous product so far. Campagnolo. This is Jones, one of 4 top 10 picks on the pitch tonight, 3 of which currently play for Colorado Rapids 2. Simpson. Beginning to open up a bit for Colorado. Rogelio Garcia. A quick turn. Creativity on full display. Ushered free towards Nieves. There are a number of black shirts shooting ahead. Komet. Linking with Nieves. Nieves tried the first time cross. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Bell Bank. Switch and see how banking should be. Beyond the half-hour mark, here from Blaine, Minnesota, on the outskirts of the Twin Cities area. As things stand, a cagey affair from both sides, although half chances each way. The question becomes who will carve out that decisive opportunity first as halftime beckons. It has been a far cry from Minnesota's last match, which was a 6-goal thriller in which they found themselves 2-0 down by the 22nd minute. This one, they've largely had the upper hand tonight. It's O'Driscoll once again to take this corner. Without swing. Cleared only as far as the corner taker. And he'll get some more target practice from this far side. Another outswinger from O'Driscoll. This is flicked along towards Fisher at the back post. And it's dealt with, albeit nervily, by Colorado in the end. And well, now the referee's coming back to an interchange in the area. Seems to be some half-hearted appeals for a corner. They're largely waved away. Campagnolo under pressure now. Snatched back by Nyman. Martinez. And Nyman again. Minnesota continuing to tweak this back line. It's headed along by Adebayo Smith. Not a bad interchange at all from the Loons. Well, you've seen Colorado pin deep for large spells of the night. This is Kmet's cross. It's not a bad one at all. Finds the head of Adebayo Smith, and it was looping. Fortunate that didn't dip earlier if you're Colorado. It's another half chance, though, that has just gone by the wayside so far for Minnesota. Nyman. Nearly snatched back by Casillas Lopez, who may have left the boot dangling in the process. Well, for both teams, we've alluded to it. The story has been in-season turnover. It's two sides that already return less than half of their key starters from last year. And in Next Pro, that is to be expected. A lot of players either make their way to the first team or find themselves elsewhere within a couple years' time. But on top of that, the top returning goal scorers for each side, when you look at Marlon Vargas for Colorado, as well as Patrick Weah for Minnesota, two players that were pacing their teams in goals by July, both loaned out in the middle of the season. Weah going to the Danish second tier, and Vargas, as we mentioned, after scoring 10 goals with 6 assists as the primary creator for Colorado, making his way to New Mexico United. And in turn, it's led to kind of a goal-scoring vacuum for both these teams. Minnesota has discovered alternate options a bit quicker than Colorado has. For Rapids, too, not a single player in the matchday squad with more than 4 goals tonight. Well, we all know what the likes of Adebayo Smith and the young front three can bring in Martinez and Nieves. And O'Driscoll himself adds 5 goals to his name as a box-to-box threat. This is Adebayo Smith, dribbling right into the path of Steve Flores. Lofted long. Flag is raised against Stuart Baines. And I believe he will see his name in the book. That he does. The 19-year-old Stuart Baines, the first man to be booked on either side, and now shown a second yellow. How about this? Their reaction not pleasing the official, and just like that, Rapids 2 down to 10 men. Stuart Baines is perplexed. And as things stand, he's given his early marching orders. Well, there goes the 4th overall pick in this year's draft. You see, he gets in the way of the free kick. And he's booked for that offense. And then something he said to our lead official tonight, John Motto, clearly got on the referee's nerves, because it was no hesitation to bring the second yellow out of the pocket. Just like that, Stuart Baines giving his marching orders. Meanwhile, in the process of all of that, the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft, Wayne Frederick, the Duke alum, also shown the yellow. So some chaos ensuing on what's been a largely peaceful first half. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, Colorado's most dangerous man to date sent off. And if you've been paying attention, Colorado, very limited forays into the final third, but most of them have come on that left side by the boots of Stuart Baines. Things have gone from shaky to even more complex from Eric Boucher's squad. The Minnesota team that has already overrun them for large spells in possession can really start to twist the screws now. And Stuart Baines, who has played with the first team quite frequently as a substitute as well. The quality was pretty much undisputed. Was freshman of the year in the Big Ten with Maryland last year. That entire resume no longer available to Eric Boucher. Martinez is now upended by Amadou. Be surprised if there isn't a yellow shown. There it is. Suddenly becoming a card fest for Colorado. It's clever here from the 17-year-old. Just slows down, baits Amadou into the contact, and with the manner in which he tumbled to the deck, it was likely going to yield a card. Sets up Minnesota for a delivery that could create some discomfort. Confirm that Dauda Amadou has entered the book. The more experienced Next Pro players making his 58th Next Pro appearance tonight. So Driscoll, who once again continues to get target practice from scenarios like these. Delivers towards the back post and nearly curled it in. Was audacious. Came within a matter of inches from catching Campagnolo out. We are within striking distance of halftime here from National Sports Center Stadium in Blaine, Minnesota. Still no score, but Colorado moments ago down to 10 men after Kamani Stuart Baines was sent off with 2 yellows in rapid succession. Given the first for getting too tight on the free kick, and then given a second for dissent. Colorado's best attacking threat blunted by the medium of red card. O'Driscoll. One of the more creative pieces in this Minnesota lineup tonight. He's looking for the run of Martinez. He will lose the tussle with Flores. Well, for both these teams, it's a question of who solidifies themselves in the bigger picture in a season's time. Jeremy Hall described it best this week. He said many players, the younger guys, playing for a chance to break into the squad. And for our older, more experienced players, they're playing for their futures with the club. And so it didn't take a lot to motivate his lads this week, despite the fact that obviously they were eliminated following their Herculean comeback against Sporting Kansas City 2 last weekend. All the lads know that even if there aren't direct implications for the squad's fate in these final 2 games, there is a lot that could affect their position with Minnesota United FC2 next year, which has led to a very strong week of training, according to Jeremy Hall. This is clever from Nieves. One of the new young stars takes a tumble in the area. Any penalty shout is waved away confidently by our lead official tonight. In many ways, Hall's sentiment echoed by Eric Boucher. There's a clear understanding that obviously the season has not gone according to plan for either team, and neither coach sugarcoated it with me this week. But both recognize they are trying to define what their squad's future looks like as they look ahead for a 2025 season that will hopefully find them in postseason contention around this time. Into the final minute of the initial 45. It is advantage Minnesota in terms of personnel. For all of their pressure, lack any clear-cut chances of note. Since Colorado went down to 10, they've tightened up shop a bit more. I have a feeling that stoppage time will not be a very large number in this first half. Will be 2 minutes of added time that separate us from intermission, the bulk of which likely a product of the red card. Martinez boosting forward. Ferris starting to grow in confidence are the Loons. Neiman falls harmlessly to Campagnolo. Nieves. Is there one final foray forward before the break for Minnesota? Komet. He and Nieves have been a busy duo in this first half. Low cross from Casillas Lopez. It falls to Frederick. Adebayo Smith. The debutant Casillas Lopez. Komet. Nieves. When both coaches evaluate this first half, I don't think it will be the attacking blaze of glory either side would have hoped for. For Colorado, they'll be happy they've remained level since the red, which came about 7 minutes from halftime. This is Frederick looking for one last break for Colorado. Chacon. Nyman. And there is where we leave things after 45 minutes. A first half in which neither side created any clear-cut opportunities, but a late plot twist in the first half has doomed Colorado to 10 men in this second-to-last contest for both clubs. At halftime, no score between Minnesota United 2 and Colorado Rapids 2. Coming up, we look back at last week's action with the report after this timeout.
Toda mi gente lo siente, 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 toda mi gente caliente, toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena, en la favela suena, el techo se me llena, toda mi gente lo siente.
Action.
All right, MLS store, I need something fresh and clean. Let's see what you got. I need that in my size. I like this. Cream on cream. The fit is cold. Ice cream. You like that?
Welcome back. With the MLS NEXT Pro season winding down, Michelle Montaigne visited the Town FC in the Bay Area for this latest edition of the report.
Shaped in behind for Carmichael, goalie off of his line and into the back of the net. Oh my!
As things in MLS NEXT Pro continue to heat up, the report comes to you from the Bay Area, home of the Town FC for the first time ever. I'm Michelle Montaigne. The playoff picture in the Western Conference is beginning to take shape. But as far as the latter parts of match week 28 go, only one team in the Eastern Conference has been able to clinch a playoff spot. That would be FC Cincinnati 2. So to say that there is drama unfolding would be quite the understatement. Union 2 added to the dramatics with a thrilling comeback win over New York City FC2. Down by 2 goals, Union 2 scored 3 unanswered to take a 4-3 victory and clinch their place in the postseason for the 3rd straight year. As of now, they are just the 3rd team to make the postseason in all 3 seasons of MLS NEXT Pro. Also clinching a postseason berth, Orlando City B. The Young Lions scored 3 second-half goals in a win over Chicago Fire 2 to make their way back to the playoffs. Jack Lynn opened the scoring, netting his 3rd goal in 3 straight matches. And speaking of streaks, goalkeeper Carlos Mercado posted his 2nd consecutive clean sheet, his 3rd of the season. The other team from Florida inched their way closer to the postseason. Inter Miami 2 earned 3 valuable points on the road thanks to a game winner from 23-year-old Ryan Carmichael in a 1-0 win over Atlanta United 2. After finishing last season at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, the turnaround this year has been impressive to watch. So that brings us to who is still in contention in the packed Eastern Conference. Inter Miami 2 is trailed by NYCFC 2, Crew 2, and Crown Legacy, who each have 42 total points. Now, Fire 2 is just 1 point behind. They occupy the final playoff spot entering match week 29. Still in the hunt is Carolina Core, Chattanooga, and Red Bulls 2. What's most impressive, just 2 points separate spots 5 through 10.
Pass into the box for Donnery! Off the post and in! Medina into the box, 4 defenders swarming him. Still gets the shot away! And somehow finds the back of the net!
Just like the iconic Lombard Street here in the Bay Area, this season has featured several twists and turns. Fitting that the home team, the Town FC, has seen their fair share. In match week 28, they had a chance to clinch a playoff spot over perennial playoff team St. Louis City 2. And clinch a spot they did. After a back-and-forth first half, Julian Donnery opened the scoring in the 69th minute for the Town FC before Cruz Medina sealed the deal with the second of the match in the 80th minute. With the victory, head coach Dan DeGeer shared how the club is feeling as they head back to the postseason.
I think we're very proud, right? Proud of the group, proud of the players, proud of the staff. It's not been an easy year. There's been some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, we're in a really good spot going into the playoffs now. I think this year, the guys are very confident, right? They understand it's a quality group. We have the ability to run deep in the playoffs, and that's the expectation now. So we lost some, a good amount of games at home last year, so we take a lot of pride playing at home this year, which is why our record's been pretty good. So I think that's been a big piece of it.
To really showcase all the twists and turns, if we look at this season overall, they started out the season in the 12th spot and toward the bottom of the Western Conference standings. Slowly but surely, they've been climbing their way up, and by the time match week 28 came to an end, they find themselves in 4th place in the playoffs and with a chance to host in the postseason. In this episode, we're sprinkling in a little history for you. Right here, we are standing in the first civic settlement in the state of California. Back in 1777, Jose Joaquin Moraga founded what is now known as San Jose, a city that is rich with Latino culture and traditions. During Hispanic Heritage Month, we asked both Emi Ochoa and Cruz Medina of the Town FC what playing for MLS NEXT Pro while representing their backgrounds means to them.
To represent, generations back to when all my family lived in Mexico to now being a second generation in America, it means everything. Being a professional in the U.S., being able to play games on live TV, it's surreal, being able to have my family in Mexico still watch my games because they're on live stream, it's really amazing.
No, I think it's a huge honor, both of my parents were born in Mexico, all my family's from Mexico, so it's a huge honor to represent them, and play here in San Jose, so it's definitely a huge honor for sure.
Also out west, several results and scenarios helped Ventura County clinch their spot in the postseason. Thanks to 8 shootout wins and 10 chances on the season, VCFC is living proof that the extra point, thanks to a shootout win, can make a world of difference. So let's take a look at the teams still contending to make it entering match week 29. Each of these teams still have 2 games remaining, with Whitecaps FC2 holding on to the 7th spot. Dynamo Dos currently holds the last playoff spot. On the outside looking in, we have Timbers 2, Sporting Kansas City 2, Real Monarchs, and defending champions Austin FC 2.
Altobelli over the wall and in!
Altobelli presents himself, approaches the box, steps over, Altobelli! And he digs himself in! Altobelli. He scores! Altobelli has scored!
Numbers for Toronto. Ayari, it's loose for Altobelli. It's 2 in quick succession.
Not only is the young man on your screen right there the 2022 MLS NEXT Pro inaugural season MVP, Jason Russell Rowe also holds the record for most consecutive games with a goal scored. But there's a new name eyeing that streak. That would be this young man, Julian Altobelli, who has now scored in 8 straight games.
you can't do everything by yourself. You need to have your teammates to help support you and help you get through tough times or good times. So to have your teammates around you, it's like having a family. I'm taking everything one game at a time, and if I am able to break that record, it would be amazing, but I focus on one game at a time, and hopefully things will come as they come.
A lot of credit goes to him for the shift in mentality that he's had, and the leadership role that he's taken on. I think has been absolutely fantastic. And the example that he sets for younger players coming through the club is that, you know, there is a pathway here, and if you succeed, if you enjoy football, if it's a passion, there's quality and there's dedication to the club, then you'll have some success.
Here's a look at the longest scoring streaks in MLS Next Pro history. We mentioned the guy with the record and, of course, Altobelli closing in on it. Last year saw Ibrahim Kasuli of New York Red Bulls 2 and Patrick Aguiaman of Crown Legacy each score in 7 straight matches. And Yosuke Hanya rounds out the top 5 with a 6-game scoring streak.
Action.
Our MLS Next Pro newsletter is close to making its debut. Make sure you sign up for it. You can do so at the link below. As we wrap up our journey through the Bay Area, we're reminded how much history this city holds. And speaking of history, Crown Legacy FC's Aaron John is on the brink of making MLS Next Pro history. It's incredible to think that the young Crown Legacy rising star was an academy player at the start of this season. The 18-year-old's breakout year, which included tying the single-season assist record, helped him land a homegrown contract with Charlotte FC this past July. Now, John shares the single-season assist record with 3 other players. Both Romeo Beckham and Mohamed Farsi produced 10 assists in 2022. Last season, Rapids 2's Marlon Vargas dished out 10, and this season, it's Aaron John in double digits, trying to set a new record with 2 more regular season matches to go. We're getting down to the wire. The next time I see you, we'll be gearing up for the pivotal point of the season to date, Decision Day. Until then, I'm Michelle Montaigne saying so long from the city by the bay.
Toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente lo siente, y toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente caliente, toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena, en la favela suena, el techo se me llena, toda mi gente lo siente.
Action.
We welcome you back to Blaine, Minnesota. Let's jump into the Match Week 29 schedule. We're kicking off the week tonight with 2 games, and then as you head down, Sunday is jam-packed. From 3 all the way to midnight, you've got soccer coming your way, Columbus Crew 2 and Fire 2. That could shape up to be a crucial clash in terms of the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference. And then towards the top of the East as well, Cincinnati, who's just clinched a playoff berth, looking to lock down the 1 seed in the East. You head further down, Carolina Core looking to knock off Huntsville and potentially find their way into the playoffs themselves. And then the nightcap matches, Tacoma taking on a Houston side looking to claw into the playoffs for a 3rd straight year, and Ventura County and St. Louis, a pair of teams that have both clinched their way into the postseason already. There's your look at Match Week 29. Let's take a look at the highlights from our match, which has kicked off the week. Chances very few and far between. A lot have gone Minnesota's way, though. You see this cross from Anderson Ferris, which led to a corner. And then there were a number of set pieces that were at least intriguing for Minnesota. A couple chances that have gotten pinged around. You see Bacharach snatch onto that and nearly whipping it back in. Then you saw Kamani Stewart-Baines at least grow into it create some trouble on that left side. This was his best chance. He just outwits his defender and gets to the byline, and it's claimed ultimately by Zaroon. From there, a couple headers from Rapids 2, and then Stuart Baines going to work more and more. Somehow keeps this in play and rockets it off the side netting. And then you saw Minnesota create one final chance before the break. Something in the quarter of uncertainty, but not much more than that. Remember, Stuart Baines sent off, so that means Rapids 2 down to 10 for the remainder of this match. You get your look at the stats here, and well, no shots on goal for either team. Just 6 combined shots, none of which have stung the palms of Zachary Campagnolo or Kai Zaroon just yet. And then as you head further down as well, the cards all towards Colorado. 3 yellows, 1 red card. 2 of those yellows going to Kamani Stuart Baines in rapid succession in the 37th minute. Sent off for dissent after crowding a free kick. And whatever he said gave him his marching orders. That has sent Rapids 2 down to 10 and makes things very tricky for Eric Boucher's side, which has really lacked any key semblance of possession throughout the opening 45 minutes. How about we take a peek at the state of the Western Conference heading in to this second to last match week of the year. 6 teams, those teams in the black with the arrows, they've all clinched a playoff berth. They're playing for seeding at this point. You see the red dots, Minnesota and Colorado in our match, both eliminated from postseason contention. Both coaches talking about the importance of ending the year on a high note for confidence. And then around the 8th spot, things are loaded. Between 7 and 12, a 5-point gap. So it's still anyone's game between those spots as they look to clinch the final 2 playoff spots. We are just about set to get back underway here from the National Sports Center Stadium in Blaine, Minnesota, on the outskirts of the Twin Cities, as we're hearing word Minnesota has made a change at halftime. So they're the first to make an alteration. No changes for Colorado, despite the fact that they are the team down to 10 men. So we'll see how that influences things. It's Finn McRobb, the defender in his first year of his pro career on a high point, who enters the fray. A man who's been a frequent starter for Colorado this year. He replaces Ugo Bacharach, the Indiana product who was a top 10 pick in this year's MLS Super Draft. So like for like swap, Bacharach, the experienced defender at Indiana, making way for another man who played a long college career in McRobb at High Point. Someone who was Big South Defender of the Year last fall after scoring 5 goals in another tournament-bound campaign for the Panthers. A program that, frankly, has produced a number of standout Next Pro talents. Johnny Bolaños with Huntsville is the #1 name that jumps out. No Ugo Bacharach for the remainder of this match. Here's Enrique Nieves. A deflected cross. One that is kept alive by Adebayo Smith. A decent ball to the back stick, but read to perfection by Campagnolo. A pair of teenagers tonight that have yet to be properly tested in this match. Zach Campagnolo, the 17-year-old against his 16-year-old counterpart, Kai Zaroon. A pair of players that have only really gotten the nod these last couple weeks. All part of the youth movement throughout these sides at the tail end of this campaign. A lot still hangs in the balance as far as pride is concerned. Remember, this is a Minnesota side that has won each of the first 2 meetings against Colorado this year. Won 2-0 at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in late May in Colorado before snatching a 1-0 victory in the last meeting on July 26th on this very ground. Eric Boucher said that was the most disappointing result of the season for his side. Had large spells of the ball and created key chances, but were unable to break through. And then had a man sent off in the second half before O'Driscoll finally bagged the winner in the 82nd minute. It was a similarly cagey affair to this one, which is stationed at 0-0 with Rapids 2 dealing with the after effects of a red card, albeit one that came much earlier than the last time these two teams locked horns. Max Simpson loses out, and perhaps bailed out by the referee's whistle, who deemed Carlos Casillas-Lopez's intervention to be excessive. Well, if you are just joining us, we welcome you back into Blaine. As things stand, no score between Minnesota and Rapids 2. A Rapids 2 side down to 10 after the sending off of Kamani Stewart-Baines in the 37th minute. Caution, a second yellow card for dissent, which came moments after his first. But as things stand, Colorado's just sat deeper and hasn't properly been threatened just yet. This is Matus Kmet. Right back for Minnesota tonight. They look long for Nieves. Alvarado reading it decently enough. It's out for a Loons throw. Well, you have to wonder what goes through Jeremy Hall's mind after that first half. One in which there was promise, but a lack of final third execution. A really surprising lack of one, given that they've bagged 11 in their last 4 entering tonight. It's been a Minnesota attack that has kicked it into high gear since the calendar flipped to September. And even though perhaps it's come too little too late, has created an air of optimism around this side entering the final weeks of the season. Amadou for Colorado. Simpson. Comes to Anderson Ferris, one of the many academy products for Minnesota in the squad tonight. A loose clearance. That nearly found its way to Casillas-Lopez. There's the first proper touch of the night for Finn McRobb. When talking to Minnesota staff earlier this year, they raved about the way he's fit into this club. A man who spent 5 years in college and developed so many leadership abilities just due to the fact that he had to organize that high point back 3 for years. He's carried over that leadership instinct to Minnesota despite being in just his first professional campaign. Was very quick to adopt the role as one of the more vocal players on the squad. Now partnered alongside Britton Fisher, 2 older players on this Minnesota squad. Ferris. Flicked along by Casillas-Lopez and just beyond the reach of O'Driscoll. Campagnolo off his line to collect with aplomb. Clever turn from Flores. And has a few runners surging ahead. Swan just a heavy touch taking it out of his direction. Ferris. Kmet. Nieves. Sprayed forward. Finds the feet of Matus Kmet. And has support as well. Nieves, a low cross. It's into the corridor of uncertainty and it cleared only as far as Kmet. Kmet's ball stabbed away by Jones. Nieves. Fisher. Kmet again. There are black shirts crowding the area. It fell briefly for Adebayo Smith. Finally headed away by Garcia for a Minnesota corner. A corner tally that is slowly climbing for the Loons. O'Driscoll beginning to find his placement from these. Ferris. Nyman. Decent looking ball in. Found the boots of Fisher. Never really hit it cleanly though. Far more directness from both outfits. Minnesota aggressive in possession like we're used to seeing them be. Colorado trying to hit them on the counter with Route 1 play. Unsurprising given the man advantage for the Loons, especially considering they were bossing it before the red card came into effect. Casillas Lopez. Fisher. Progressive ball. Matus Komet in space! An excellent stop. And finally smashed away by Amadou. Campagnolo passing his first test. A snapshot save at full extension. You see Komet just bash it. It was a much needed full extension stop. Campagnolo saw it all the way and made the most of it. Pressure still mounting though for Minnesota. Casillas Lopez. Minnesota far more assertive than we saw in the first. Komet's cross again. This one flashing across the face. Falls for Ferris. Dinking it in towards O'Driscoll. Only as far as Finn McRobb. The entire back line well beyond midfield, just looking to squeeze Colorado into the box. McRobb, low driver, just skips beyond that far post. Not a bad effort at all from the center back. Well, how about this stop from Zach Campagnolo? Very aggressive surging run. Komet lashed at it, and it required Campagnolo to get his arms to it. And then McRobb, moments later, he tries from afar himself and was not far off by any means. Just whistling beyond the right post. The pressure creeping up into a fever pitch at the moment. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Allina Health, an altogether better kind of healthcare. Learn more at allinahealth.org. Just beyond the 55-minute mark, Minnesota has turned it into a different gear since the restart. Colorado perhaps fortunate not to find itself one behind. Finally some respite after Amadou wins the set piece. A team that has played 10 behind the ball for pretty much the entirety of this second half so far. These teams already know their postseason fates, and when you evaluate Minnesota, it's a team that has found itself on the precipice of the postseason in the past. There was hope perhaps they would turn it around and navigate here this year, but after the slow start in which they lost 4 of their first 5, they never truly recovered. The summertime especially, just incredibly brutal to them. With just 1 win between June and August, they've turned it around since the calendar flipped to September with 2 wins in the last 3. Now just hoping for signs of positivity to enter next year. For Rapids too, it's been an unfortunate slippery slope for them this season. They've gone from first in the West to potentially last. And if they don't secure a victory, their fate in the cellar will be sealed. So much personnel turnover, and of course Marlon Vargas's move on loan has stymied an already very limited attacking base. It's been a learning experience for Eric Boucher, but one in which he's beginning to determine the players that will work for him in the long run. O'Driscoll stands over this. Nyman. Clever interplay. O'Driscoll's cross toward the back post. It nearly found Nieves. Going out for a Minnesota corner, but more opportunities finding Minnesota forwards. So O'Driscoll's cross this time. You see ultimately Nieves pinging it across the face of goal. Amadou having to stab it clear. It is relentless from the Loons at the minute. O'Driscoll, floating cross, back post. Casillas Lopez nearly got to it. And now the whistle sounds against the Minnesota front line. It will be an aerial bombardment from here on out for Colorado, it seems. Airward finally, Rapids 2 readying a double change as they look to reestablish a foothold in a match where they have found themselves well and truly on the back foot for large spells. Chacon, this is Flores. Loses out to Casillas Lopez, and now numbers in space. Martinez cuts inside, now falls for O'Driscoll. Can't negotiate his way through the thicket of white kits just yet. We've hit the hour mark. All signs seem to point to it being a very long final 30 minutes for Rapids 2. Anderson Ferris, the 16-year-old. Moses Nyman. Ferris again, twisting through traffic. Charged away only as far as McRobb. Unrelenting from the Loons. Komet linking well with Nieves. Dangerous ball. Came all the way across the face. O'Driscoll. Nyman picks out Nieves. Who's Komet? Quick link up. Komet finally runs out of room. It will be a Minnesota corner though. Well, actually it won't be. One that was overruled by the official. Well, here's the double change. A duo of swaps for Rapids 2. It will be Frederick and Chacon vacating the action. A center back and a center mid, replaced by Vincent Rinaldi, the young academy product, and Robinson Aguirre, a more experienced piece in this Colorado side. Aguirre, a listed center mid at 19 years of age, a product of the academy who's scored a goal with 2 assists this year. Someone who's enjoyed his productive moments going forward since signing with the second team last year and has seen his minutes increase as a result. As it appears Jeremy Hall may have just entered his name into the book. Meanwhile, Rinaldi is slightly less experienced. It is Campagnolo who actually is booked for time wasting. for Rapids 2, Rinaldi, a defensive mid that can also play center back. This is his 6th appearance off the bench this year. So Aguirre for Frederick and Rinaldi for Chacon, who played his new season high of minutes north of an hour as he rehabs from that ACL tear he suffered last year. A first-team player gradually working his way back into the fold. Someone who also played with Costa Rica in the World Cup in 2022. A surprise inclusion in the squad. Fisher. This is Aiden Martinez, someone who has drawn rave reviews from Jeremy Hall and the staff these last few months. Komet, Fisher, Nyman, McRobb pinging it towards the box, and there were no runners there to greet it. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. You and Blue, better together. 65 minutes gone here from Blaine, Minnesota, on the outskirts of the Twin Cities in the land of 10,000 lakes. No score between Minnesota and Colorado, but again, the story has been characterized by Kamani Stewart-Baines' red card in the late first half. It has allowed Minnesota to dominate the run of play and has pinned Colorado very deep in its own half for large spells in this second stanza. The big question is, can Minnesota find a way to break down this Colorado side? Much better breaking in the open field, and you've seen struggles picking out the final pass. Just one shot on goal came via the boots of Matus Komet shortly after the restart. Here is the first touch from Aguirre. Has it smashed away by Adebayo Smith. Aguirre again, and this time pickpocketed by Komet. Hunting the run of Nieves, a well-weighted ball. Nieves' cross, just beyond the reach of Adebayo Smith. It was a necessary intervention from Rinaldi. And another corner for O'Driscoll and this Minnesota United set-piece unit. Nyman is in the near vicinity. Without swing, towards the heart of the area. Flicked along towards Adebayo Smith. Ferris. A daunting run forward. A flashing effort from Nieves evading everyone. But more promise from the Loons. Well, perhaps Nieves is caught between two minds here. You see him pick it up in the half space, deletes two defenders. Seems he was trying to find O'Driscoll at the back stick, but may have been thinking shoot it first. Another chance, though, that goes begging for the Loons. O'Driscoll, Martinez, It is wave after wave from Minnesota at this point. Komet dancing towards the byline. A decent cross, back post, and Adebayo Smith was overzealous. Shown the yellow as well. Just went right in the back of Flores. Minnesota readying another change. Another academy product getting an opportunity tonight. It is Griffin Price, who is making his 5th league appearance in place of the debutant Carlos Casillas-Lopez, who receives a deserved applause from his efforts. Someone who definitely looked at the pace of things, the 18-year-old. Price, the fellow teenager out of the academy, will replace him. Well, you saw the yellow to Adebayo Smith. That was the first to a Minnesota player all night. A total of 5 cards have now been shown to Colorado players, 4 yellows and a red. That's crafty from Price. Nifty nutmeg. When you look at the implications of things in the table, if Colorado drops points tonight, their fate is clear. Bottom of the table, it would be in the West. This is Rogelio Garcia with a rare free run forward for Colorado. Garcia again. This time dinked over the top to the fullback Alvarado. And Price looking to clean up the trouble. When you look at Colorado's positioning, the live table has them on 24 points. Which even if they were to win the resulting penalty shootout, would still find themselves not within the requisite number of points to overtake Minnesota. Smith nearly latched onto that. Well, remember, fans, if this ends level after 90 minutes, we go to a penalty shootout. The rules of Next Pro state that an additional point in the standings would be on the line to the winner of said shootout. And it's all part of Next Pro's initiative to keep the fans engaged and entertained. You will be guaranteed to see a goal tonight, regardless of how the scoreline finishes, be it out of open play or from spot kicks. Someone has to score to earn the extra point. Part of many of the new experimental rules MLS Next Pro has applied in this league. In addition to the timed substitution rule and the off-field treatment rule, which are meant to reduce gamesmanship. A pair of rules that have even been implemented on a trial basis in the MLS itself to great success when you look at the number of actual playtime minutes in the before and after columns. It's all about maximizing the number of chances both teams have to create chances and score chances, and it has made this league quite exciting as a result. Even in matches like this, you will still have a wild moment or two pop up that defines the entire final result. Garcia. Linking up well with Flores. Finally charged away by Martinez. Only as far as Amadou. Garcia goes down just outside the area. And if you are Colorado, highest likelihood of a shock winner would come from a set piece like this. See what Eric Boucher and company have in their set piece locker. A welcome respite. They have suffered for minutes on end, parked in their own area. Now a chance to redefine the entire script here. It is Rogelio Garcia, who now vacates, and now Max Simpson is the only man in the immediate vicinity. Flores having words with him as well. The 17-year-old academy man, Simpson, stands over this. Low driver, and there was a man down in the area. Driscoll taking the contact, and well, we'll never see how that set piece would have materialized. Ferris, Martinez. O'Driscoll again. Going more and more into this. Saluting everybody at the back stick. Well, so far for Zach Campagnolo, it's been a promising performance. Only one save will show up on the score sheet as of now. It was a full extension stop, which kept Colorado level. He's a big part of the reason why they don't find themselves behind. Well, fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Target. Target is here for the love of the Loons. We are now in the vicinity of the final quarter of an hour, and still awaiting our first clear-cut chance for either side. Colorado, to its credit, has held on out of possession down a man for the entirety of this second half and change. Zach Campagnolo has popped up with big stops when necessary, and now they're beginning to achieve welcome respite with some chances to surge forward. It'll be a long set piece that Steve Flores stands over. Alvarado, and he takes a tumble. And suddenly the yellow shown to Matus Komet. Perhaps some nerves starting to set in for Minnesota.
Yellow card caution issued MNUFC2.
He just undercuts Alvarado here. Yep. Maybe trods upon him as well. It is largely incidental, but deemed to be excessive enough and dangerous. So the first teamer, Komet, enters the book. Again, if there is a chance for Colorado to snatch a potential winner, it would come from a set-piece scenario. They've struggled to build out of the press all night, even with 11 men. These are welcome chances for Rapids 2 to make a difference. Simpson to deliver. Doesn't travel beyond the first defender. Appeals for handball as well. Alvarado whiffing at it. It appears Minnesota has navigated that comfortably. Price. Deflected cross. Amadou charges away. That has been the story of the night for Minnesota. Have not been shy about working it wide, but then attacks begin to unravel. They have lacked the accuracy necessary, or the timing for that matter, on those cutbacks and low crosses. And nobody's really been able to get up in the air and create havoc with their heads besides Adebayo Smith. It has made Campagnolo's job largely comfortable, with the exception of a few standout moments. Another long free kick in the offing for Rapids 2. Just takes one awkward hop or one fortuitous flick on, and the team down with 10 men could find itself in an unlikely, advantageous scenario. Aguirre to deliver. Floated to the edge of the area. Read well enough in the end by Minnesota's defense. Swan. It's deflected out for a corner. Rapids 2's first of the half. Hearing word Rapids are readying one more change. Max Simpson will be the man to depart. Got the small matter of Colorado's corner to deal with first. Aguirre with in-swing. Smashed away by Britton Fisher. Only as far as Steve Flores. Lofting it forward and claimed comfortably by Zaroon, who read that one without much trouble off his line quickly. The man to replace Max Simpson is supposed to be Logan Batiste, another academy kid. And I believe that change will take place now. May wait for another stop to clear the man on. Nieves can't pick out Adebayo Smith. Inside the final 10 minutes, here from the National Sports Center Stadium in Blaine, Minnesota, a 5,500 seat venue, just 20 minutes outside the Minneapolis-St. Paul region. A venue in the Twin Cities that is part of a larger sports complex in the area that hosts anything from youth to professional matches. It's been the home of Minnesota United these last couple seasons. Amadou poked ahead to Simpson. And now cut back. This is Colton Swan. Finds its way to the feet of Nyman. As things stand, if you're Colorado, you'd be far happier with the point. Price. Space to cross. Far too tight on Campagnolo in spite of the awkward hop. for Minnesota, just 8 minutes remain on its home season. Next week they head to North Texas to take on the Western Conference leaders. And what a result it would be if they could pull off that upset. Both teams are effectively locked into their respective spots. As Komet winning Minnesota a corner. Batiste has been waiting to enter for quite some time now for Rapids 2. Finally, they've made the wave over. Logan Batiste, the 20-year-old right back who spent the bulk of his boyhood days at Inter Miami's youth academy. Now in his second season with Rapids 2. He replaces Max Simpson, a man in his first foray into the professional ranks. Defensive-minded for Colorado. O'Driscoll's outswinger. Stood up and out of play for yet another corner, this time on the opposite flank. Can Minnesota conjure some sort of breakthrough? It's the ultimate question that has characterized the bulk of this second half. This time it will be O'Driscoll with in-swing. Hooking towards the middle of the area. Cleared only as far as Komet. May have taken a touch. Instead, the referee says it just knuckled. One more change for Rapids 2. Rogelio Garcia will be the man to exit. Hearing word that Alec Diaz, the proven goal scorer, is in line to replace him as perhaps Colorado prepares for penalties. Still 5 minutes and change away from that reality, though. Perhaps we could have late drama before this. Batiste dancing into the area. Alvarado. Aguirre. No issues for Zaroon. He has been a mere spectator for large spells of the night, and I don't think the 16-year-old would complain about that. Nieves. Inside 5 to play in regular time. The prospect of a frustrating draw becoming all the more real for Minnesota. It'd be a rare match in which they've been shut out of late. A team that has banged in goals for fun the last month. McRobb. Ferris. Fisher. This is Price. Unable to navigate through the first line of defense. Now McRobb. Brought down just outside the 18, and the referee will point for a free kick. And one in a very appetizing spot for Minnesota. This is well within the range of O'Driscoll. As Diaz will enter in place of Rogelio Garcia. Alec Diaz, 4 goals to his name, the 22-year-old who spent last year with Toronto FC2. It is McRobb and O'Driscoll in the immediate direction of this free kick. Huge chance for Minnesota to find a breakthrough. O'Driscoll drives it towards goal, and it finds its way in. But the referee may have just waved this off. Hand fighting in the area. And as a result, the potential stunning winner has been wiped off the board. Well, this is fantastic technique from O'Driscoll. But it seems Neiman has received a talking to after the fact. Immediately pointing at Moses Neiman was our lead official tonight, John Motto, and the goal wiped away. It does not stand. For a moment, it seemed Minnesota had found its fantastic winner, but immediately waved away by our official. They'll have to do it the hard way tonight. Well, how about that for late drama? Was a fantastic free kick from O'Driscoll. Man, who's already scored one late winner against Colorado this year. It came on this very ground a couple months ago. Still not lost just yet, though. Neiman playing it forward. Price is through, brought down just outside the area, and Jones may have his marching orders in a matter of moments. The last line of defense, the card is red. Colorado down to 9, and no debates about it. Nate Jones, the 9th overall pick, sent off. A foul occurring outside of the area, though, mind you. So Nate Jones in the 89th, the second Colorado Rapids player to be given an early shower. Tugging down Griffin Price. And this free kick, a slightly tighter angle for O'Driscoll to navigate. The wall will be bearing down on him at this stage. Well, it appears Jones has made a business decision. It's one that will cost him the final match of the season, though. It will be 5 minutes of stoppage time following this free kick. O'Driscoll a chance for an encore. He'll be hoping that if he procures one, it'll stand this time. The 5 minutes have been confirmed. Late drama here in Blaine. O'Driscoll drives it low. A training ground routine. It falls for Fisher, and a deflection takes it out of play for a corner. Not a bad routine at all, and it's one that caught Colorado out. And now to the corner flag we go. Komet stands over this. Neiman in the immediate vicinity as the short option. Low outswinger. Charged away only as far as Ferris. O'Driscoll to the byline, low cross, just beyond the reach of Finn McRobb. Campagnolo sitting on it. Well, remember, Campagnolo on a yellow for time wasting, so he has to be careful here, especially with Rapids 2 already 2 men down. Price tumbles to the deck. Fans clearly wanted the ref to play advantage there. Neiman. Adebayo Smith. Komet. Runs into traffic. Falls for Nieves. Laying it off for O'Driscoll. Clattering into the legs of Batiste and smashed away out of danger. It will be a long 3 minutes for Rapids 2 to navigate. They are nearly all the way to a penalty shootout despite men disadvantages. Price, Nieves. Cleared only as far as Komet. Neiman, and the flag raised against Griffin Price. Well, if Colorado is able to do this, it would be just its second clean sheet all season, and what a time for it, as it looks to build confidence with results towards the end of the campaign. This would be a notable one, despite Minnesota's standing in the table, because this Minnesota side entered tonight red hot. It would go to 4 unbeaten, but it would be a disappointing draw, I'm sure, in Jeremy Hall's mind. The second half in which they overwhelmingly dominated the run of play. Colorado has just 2 minutes to see this result out. It is a side that has lacked legitimate goal threat tonight. But a point or potentially 2 would be hard-earned. An industrious display out of possession so far. Final 90 seconds of the added 5 minutes. A long throw from Flores, the captain tonight. There will be time for one final sojourn ahead for Minnesota. A side that has camped in Colorado's corridor here tonight. Nieves crossing it in. Campagnolo doesn't deal with it properly, and the referee points to the spot. Clattering into O'Driscoll and paying the price. And Minnesota a chance to win it at the death from the spot. Wow. Zach Campagnolo hardly putting a foot or a hand wrong tonight, but a very costly one. Just shoving Rory O'Driscoll down, and immediately the referee doesn't hesitate. John Motto pointing directly to the penalty spot. And Jordan Adebayo-Smith can win this for Minnesota United too. A man who is 3 of 4 on spot kicks this year and has navigated his way to the fringes of the first team. Experience both in the States and England, playing at a myriad of League Two outfits. Now the former Revolution 2 man looking to secure all 3 points for Minnesota. It is Adebayo-Smith against Campagnolo. Everything riding on this penalty kick. Adebayo-Smith delivers. Minnesota well on its way to 3 points now. Cool as you like from the 23-year-olds. A 4th of the season, and Minnesota may have just wrapped it up in late dramatic fashion. You see what led to the penalty. Campagnolo infringing upon the space of Rory O'Driscoll. And that sets up Adebayo-Smith from 12 yards, who makes no mistakes. Opts for placement, nestling it into the bottom left. And the 23-year-old has all but wrapped it up now. It has not been the cleanest of displays going forward for Minnesota, but when it mattered most, their talisman up front bearing it from 12 yards. And now all eyes on John Motto as the Minnesota fans look to usher their lads over the line. It is heartbreak for Colorado, a team that hung in for over 95 minutes, down to 9 men. But barring late drama, they will leave here empty-handed tonight. Is there time for one final break forward from the Rapids? Amadou venturing into the final third. It's stabbed away by Komet. We are well beyond the 5 minutes of added time now. And Komet shoved down. And while there may be another card coming, it's a question of maybe what color if the referee saw it. Referee's now trying to navigate the situation. It seems he will not show another card. Mind you, Rogelio Garcia was sent off after being subbed off, so 3 men have been sent off. Flick on header. Falls for Aguirre, and the foul against Colorado. That may all but wrap it up.
Hey, we have 35 seconds according to their keeper. Yep.
We are rapidly approaching the century mark here from Blaine. Ball blasted forward. There was no red card shown to Garcia. And the offside flag is raised against Nieves. Fans are growing restless now. We're 4 minutes beyond the added 5. Seems to be frustration over the referee not ending things. We're in the 100th minute of action now. Is their life late for Colorado? And finally, the final whistle sounds. On a night marred by frustration, Jordan Adebayo-Smith alleviating all of it with 1 penalty kick from 12 yards. It was a hard-fought effort from Colorado, down to 9 men, but a late mistake from their goalkeeper leading to the spot kick. And that sets us up with the match winner, Jordan Adebayo-Smith, who is tonight's man of the match, presented by Adidas. You get another look at what led to his penalty. O'Driscoll clattered down to the deck by Campagnolo, and then the 23-year-old, confident and composed from 12 yards, driving it into the bottom left and allowing Minnesota to steal all 3 points tonight. A deserved 3 points, given their constant dominance of possession and chance creation. Well, that's where things come to a close tonight from Blaine, Minnesota, where Minnesota United FC2 has ended its home slate on a positive note. A 1-0 victory courtesy of Adebayo-Smith's late penalty. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm Sam Goldfarb. Once again, our final score is Minnesota 1, Colorado 0. Don't forget, you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Have a great rest of your night here from Minnesota.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.